going on, YouTube universe? My name is Zirra, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Zirra Reacts, the channel where we break down, interpret, and do whatever we have to do to videos on the internet. It has been a hot minute, but we are returning to Sleep Token once more. I am so incredibly hyped for this video because this is a band, this is an artist, this is a lore that I am so incredibly keen to deep dive into. We listened to Alkaline the first time around, which was a recommendation from a friend of mine who suggested if you're looking to get down and dirty and filthy with a loved one, with, you know, a sexual partner, Alkaline is a song that is one to really drive it home, if you kind of catch my drift. And because I'm fucking a filthy pervert, that just caught my attention and I thought, why the fuck not? But at the end of the day, it delivered something absolutely beautiful. The instrumentals, the vocals, the visuals that it painted with the horror tropes as well, absolutely hooked underneath my skin and continued to drag me down deeper and deeper. And I just want more. I have been waiting to react to another Sleep Token, song, or do another Sleep Token reaction video, because I am waiting with bated breath to listen to these guys again, to be able to take all of this stuff in and not have to worry about not being able to listen to them in my spare time, because that's something I do when it comes to these reaction videos. I don't listen to these bands actively if I'm wanting to react to their stuff, and because Sleep Token is a band I have only just gotten acquainted with, I have a discography to dive through, and you guys at home, absolute fucking champions, came through in that video in the comment section with so many recommendations. The Suffering seemed to be one that was really forthcoming in the way of comments, but none more so came through the most than just suggesting I pare it back, go back to the beginning, and listen to everything from the start, starting with their EPs, which is exactly what we are doing today. We are listening to their first EP. It is comprised of 3 tracks. The first is Thread the Needle, the second is Fields of Elation, and we round things up with When the Bough Breaks. I'm so keen. I'm so excited. I've got goosebumps already, and we haven't even sat down to listen to it yet. Now, this is going to be part of a very transformative journey, I feel, because some comments that did come through suggested that going back to the beginning will show the journey that Sleep Token has gone on and their evolution. So while I'm still expecting those vocals to come through and just, pierce my soul, I'm expecting the instrumentals to still come through hard, I'm going to go out on a whim and maybe assume, and I know assuming is something we shouldn't do all the time, but maybe instrumentally they flow a lot better now and they've found their true sound. Maybe it was more experimental in the beginning until you find your feet. A lot of bands are like that. I could be missing the mark. I should probably just stop talking and stop making a fool of myself and sit back and listen to these tracks. I will pause when need be. We will take a beat after each track and talk about it, and then I'll give my summation about the EP in general once we've finished listening to When the Bough Breaks and we've wrapped up the 3 tracks. I'm so keen. Hope you guys are as well. You know what we do around here, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start, sit back, close your eyes. Let's take a beat. Take a deep breath in. Oh, let's take a deep breath out. We've got to expel. We've got to make room. Alkaline was huge. I'm expecting this to be just as big. Come on, I'm so keen. Hope you guys are as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Sleep Tokens 1.
Bury me inside this labyrinth bed.
I know we've only just started. Gonna take a minute straight away just to pause. I just want to reiterate the fact that on surface value, when you see Sleep Token, you see the mask, you see the horror nuances throughout. When vocals like this cut through, it just sounds so fucking beautiful. It is something so unexpected, and it catches you off guard, especially if you've never heard of Sleep Token before, if you've never listened to their music. It is so incredibly soothing to my soul. I cannot understate how much I love this guy's voice. Let's run it back and let's start it again. Let's take it in. Let's prepare ourselves. This is obviously going to be a very slow burn track that could build up as it goes. It could just be a slow burner, like a real somber kind of thing before the next track builds up. But let's find out.
Bury me inside this labyrinth bed. We can feel that time is dilated. We can spend the night in fascination. You can thread the needle time and time again. You turn the lights down. Come on, I'm find out. You turn the lights down. Come on, oh, I'm find out. Something to confide in.
I'm sorry for any lack of reaction if I'm not. I'm trying to lyrically take things in, and I'm really desperately wanting to close my eyes and just listen, but I fear I'm going to miss something on screen through the visuals, because with Alkaline, they painted a story through that, and even though right now we've only seen hands dragging in the sand and some candles, it's very evident that this is somebody wanting to dedicate their time with someone, wanting to spend the night with them, wanting to, for lack of better words, do things over and over again. This is somebody, at least in my eyes, professing love, wanting connection, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, intellectual. This is definitely somebody yearning for something a little bit more. I'm just waiting for potential burst of loud, overtures of instrumental. I don't know whether it's going to continue the way it's going, but as much as I'm not headbanging or anything, it's a soft song. You can't expect that. And as I said, I just want to really allow the somber to take me over, but I don't want to miss what's going on the screen. So do bear with me as this goes on.
Something to erase. Just look where we're lying. Invisible space. We can spend the night in fascination. You can thread the needle time and time again.
Here it is. I had a feeling it was going to build to something a lot heavier. Yes. I definitely think, though, with the nuances of what's going down, it is definitely something speaking to relationship or love, because we can spend the night in fascination, in being fascinated with one another, being fascinated in the moment, I could be missing the beat completely. And I know if I am, if I'm getting it right, I know I'm going to get told in the comments anyway, so feel free to tear me apart if I am missing the beat. I'm ready for the shift. Let's run it back.
Time and time again.
Visually speaking, seeing the heart on screen, seeing the kind of horror-based kind of movements, again, that's obviously nuanced because we've seen those movements in Alkaline. I don't know whether that's like a continued trope with Sleep Token, but that's giving me one of two things. The heart could be metaphorically giving your heart to somebody, and that's the visual representation, or it's an offering, and the person is moving like this because they're succumbing to like possession. They're almost giving themselves to somebody, again, as a metaphor, and being overtaken by another presence. This could also be within Sleep Token's lore of Vessel giving himself to sleep and sleep overtaking, him. Again, feel free to call me out if I'm wrong, but I'm digging this. Like, even just the instrumental break here, not having any vocals over it and just letting the instrumentals speak for themselves, sign me up.
It's time. The lights down. Come on. I'm fine now. It's time. The lights down. Come on, I'm fine now.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't know we were going to get filthy, dirty, sexy. I was happy with the heavier kind of stuff we were already getting, but we're getting filthier, dirtier, sexier. Man, I was just about to pause and say that just, instrumentally, comparatively to Alkaline, because that's all I've got to compare it to, there's not as much, like, heavier kind of synth or electronic kind of sound over the top of everything here. I don't know whether that's something that Sleep Token evolved with time, so that's part of the evolution. But this is a beautiful song. I'm glad I didn't close my eyes to take things in, because obviously visually we get to take things in when they do have an official music video to tie with it. And Sleep Token is obviously going to be a band that thrives upon storytelling, visually as well as lyrically, instrumentally. But let's prepare for that shift one more time. Holy shit. Are you ready? Ah! Man. Oh. Oh, boy. Clean up aisle me, you know what I'm saying? Holy shit. Wow. Is this the lament of a toxic relationship? Is it somebody wanting and yearning for sexual connection? Is it the embodiment of giving yourself wholly to someone or something and being overtaken by that? There are so many pathways you can walk down with interpreting this song. And while there will always be a definitive answer to what a song means, and I can probably do myself some due diligence and do a little bit of research in my own time and look up the meanings, but that would take away the opportunity to sit here and try to decipher things for myself and make my own interpretations and meanings. And I've said it in multiple reactions I've done, and I'll continue to do so. When it comes to art, whether it is musical, whether it is like a physical embodiment of art, interpretation is such a powerful thing, especially when you can tie it to something that you personally feel within yourself. And those are the connections I make here with Thread the Needle. It's definitely undertoned by something very sexual. There is yearning for connection. I don't know whether you can take the fact that the song started so soft and by the end it was so heavy. It was that culmination of starting off so innocent, and then as time's gone on, it's gotten darker and darker and darker, and now you've just become overcome by this being, by this person, by this relationship, by these emotions. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm keen to see whether these tropes kind of roller coaster and intertwine through with the next two tracks. But we do have Fields of Elation, I believe, is the next one. I'm going to line it up. We're going to dive on in and check it out. I hope it's as good as the first one, because that was a fucking killer way to start things off.
The daylight recedes and you listen. There's a room buries the eyes like death in motion. Nobody else can pull me out. The fields of elation, quiet and lonely.
I'm catching myself closing my eyes because I'm vibing, and lyrically already, you're the only one that can pull me out, talking about, the start with that opening verse that comes across with the daylight receding, really, starts to paint kind of pictures that maybe this does tail end on from Thread the Needle? Is this, you know, once you've given yourself to somebody, to a purpose, to something, to a relationship, that there's now this sense of, you know, this person, this entity, this being the only thing that they can put their faith into, the only thing that can make them feel safe. You've now given yourself to them wholly, and you're starting to become dependent on this person, on this relationship, of this thing. If I'm missing the mark and I'm just making some beautiful fucking connections on my own, I'm going to give myself a tick of approval. But if this just slants off into something much darker like the first one did, I've got to prepare myself. I'm preparing myself. Let's lock in.
Your name is a sin. I breathe like oxygen. Caught in the careless arms of lust again. Nobody else can pull me out. The fields of elation, quiet and lonely.
Ooh. That was sick. That little kind of like, it was almost rewinding. It was almost pulling back a little bit and then going back in. We will check that out. But there was a lyric that come across that was basically, the sin that I breathe like oxygen. Maybe there is kind of like a toxic kind of feel going on about this, and, you know, they shouldn't be with this person. This person could be bad for them, but they keep taking in more, because, again, they've become dependent on this to live, because breathing in oxygen is what keeps us alive. So
The fields of elation, quiet and lonely. Nobody else can pull me out. The fields of elation, quiet and lonely. And nobody else can pull me out. The fields of elation, quiet and
okay, the electronics are coming through a lot more in this song, but man, the shifts and transitions that is done by Sleep Token are so masterfully crafted. Okay. That was killer. I'm starting to maybe put some lore-based, storytelling together here. That last little section where he mentions, he's losing his faith in life being apart, and is that, you can tie that into relationships, feeling that on your own you're not going to be anything, but with this person, in your life and with you, you feel something. In the way of knowing that Vessel is, offering these songs, these tokens to the deity Sleep, was the first track of this EP laying down the foundations, giving his heart, giving himself, and then, being overtaken by the deity. And then by this point, it is the realization and the acceptance of the fact that he has given so much of himself to Sleep that he feels he can't exist without it. He's dependent on it like oxygen. He feels less of a person when they're apart. Definitely feelings you can tie to your own relationships, especially those of a more mature sexual based relationship with a girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other. Man, if that's what we're getting, I'm going to go out on a whim here, because when the bough breaks, obviously already paints a synonymous kind of, tone, especially like with the nursery rhyme, when the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Like, when the bough breaks, that's just everything free falling. So are we going to get a story in 3 tracks here of giving yourself to something, holy, and then being overtaken by it, being incredibly dependent on it? Maybe now it comes full circle and you begin to loathe and despise it? Maybe? And that's where the break happens? Just saying. Just saying. Could be. Okay, so before we dive into when the bough breaks, I couldn't actually find an official video for it. If there is one, I'm just completely ignorant and couldn't find it. So we've got an image here to run in the background. I've got the audio, so now we can take the time to maybe close our eyes. If it's more of a somber start, we can try to take things in a bit, because there's no visuals for me to be distracted by. So I'm really keen to see how this runs, because 7.5 minutes this one. Let's lock in.
You can stay alive.
Glad I closed my eyes.
Tell me that you notice, even in the dark, the way I left you breathing. Sometimes when we touch, everything we love, we say.
We take the time, and I hate to pause during such beautiful harmony, but can we take the time to appreciate the harmonies and the vocals, man? Please. It's enough to make you cry. When I said the just vocally Sleep Token pierced my soul with alkaline, this is so emotionally jarring and just straight to the heart. And as somebody who has gone through it relationship wise in the worst of ways, I find myself opening myself up more to allowing music to flow through me in different ways and influence me in different ways. And I'm loving this so much. I'm so glad I stumbled across these guys, and after so much fucking recommendation, I took the plunge. Let's just run it back from this point.
The way I left you breathing. Sometimes when we touch, everything we love, we say. Even when the bough breaks, sometimes when we touch, everything we love resets. Only just enough, even when we run with death.
Ooh. Oh, yes. Build up to something nice and filthy, please. Yes! I just can't. I seriously am never prepared for the ballsy pants drop. Never. Never. Man, I'm just finding myself slipping away with this song as it goes on. Again, the harmonies vocally are so fucking beautiful. And then they're like, you know what, Zero, I'm going to take you to the back room. I'm going to take my pants down. I'm going to show you what's what. That's what just went down. Holy shit. Yes! It also probably looks a little bit suspect at home if you see my hands jittering down here, but I'm playing air drums. If I'm vibing with something and I start feeling the beat, like my hands and my feet get going, it's just like the musical person within myself coming through. So I mean, you know, wouldn't put it past anybody from trying to do something like that when something like this comes through, because it's some sexy stuff. But I'm not. Just you're welcome. Fucking hell. Oh, take off your dirty girl panties and throw them to the ground. Holy fuck. With lyrics like, you don't really love me, you know, you just hate to be alone and don't lie to me and things like that. That just, it does come across like this is a violent separation, a very bitter, like, separation. And the realization of, you know, you're just, you know, you're settling, you know, you're just content being in this place. You don't love me, you're not happy, but you don't want to be alone, so you're just keeping me and you drag me along for the ride. And as far as the sleep token lore goes, this could be, you know, Vessel giving himself wholly in the beginning to sleep, then feeling the, you know, the feelings of elation, of, you know, not being able to live without sleep, being fully encompassed by sleep, and then now getting to a point where he feels he's being used. He's only being kept around for certain vices. You know, is he only being used for these tokens? Does sleep care about him? And then you can attribute that to your own relationships as well. I'm sure we've all been there. I mean, I personally have spoken about my own journey and trauma and everything tied to it in the past, but as somebody who has gone through a rather ugly separation and divorce, it definitely drudges up that feeling of, you know, not feeling loved or appreciated, and only being, you know, feeling like you're being kept around because, you know, they can't do better, so they're settling for you, and all this other kind of emotion that you can throw at it. But you can definitely see the climb and rise and the climaxes, and everything starts off really somber in all of these tracks, and then you get to a point where the darker tones start kicking in, and that's where the tonal shifts start happening, not just instrumentally but with the lyrics as well. And it, to me at least, has painted a definitive journey from track 1 to track 3. giving yourself wholly to someone, literally giving them your heart and your being overtaken by them, feeling so elated that you can't live without them, and then getting to a point where while you've been feeling these feelings the whole time, maybe they're not being reciprocated back and you feel like you're only being tagged along as an accessory, and wanting to break away from that, and the bitterness that comes with being lied to and you know, betrayed, and everything else that falls into that basket. Man, even if I'm wrong, as I said, I think that is a beautiful imagery to follow through with an EP, especially when you're putting yourself forward. And if that is the story they've told, if this is the journey that they have started with their lore, and I've been told in the past on that Alkaline video not to buy into the lore all too much, because a lot of it is fan-made and fan-serviced, but if I can picture my own lore and create my own interpretation to make better meaning, I think personally I've hit the nail on the head. I mean, I could be so far off the mark, it's not funny, and I'm going to get absolutely dragged in the comment section. Feel free to do so, but this EP, holy shit, I am so locked in to sitting down and doing just discographies of Sleep Token and other bands from now on, especially if there's something I've taken on board for the first time. Any Sleep Token reaction I do moving forward, unless it's a brand new song or it's something that warrants its own individual reaction to, like people have been saying, listen to the suffering, so we'll get to that point. I might do that as a separate video, but these EPs, definitely going to do them in like a full hit. When it comes to the albums, maybe we do them and we split them down the middle, and you know, because as the albums get on, if I quickly just bring up Spotify here for a second just to have a little look-see, like the EPs and that are all like only 2 to 3 songs. Maybe there's one here that gets up to 6 songs, but then when you get into their proper albums, you know, we've got a full cast on display of like 10 songs a piece, 11 songs, 12 songs. So those could be like 2-part series where we listen to one half and then we listen to the other half. If that's something you want to see, let me know in the comment section down below. But as far as Sleep Token goes, if you are here for it, I am locked in, and I can give you the commitment that Sleep Token will be a mainstay band on this channel moving forward. And each and every time I do a reaction to a song, it officially gets locked in to my playlist, which means as I scroll down now on Spotify, I am locking in the entire 1 EP to that said playlist, and we are done. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for joining me for today's video. A bit of a longer one, but these videos are going to serve that, especially when we're sitting down, taking pauses to talk about things and break it down. I just hope you guys appreciate it as much as I did. Do leave a like if you did enjoy it. Do leave me comments down below. Let me know your thoughts, if I got things wrong, if you feel I got it right, if you've got your own interpretations, if you know the real interpretations. Let's talk about it. Hit that notification bell to stay up to date with future uploads, and if you want to get on board the community we are building together, feel free to hit that subscribe button as well. Stumbling and bumbling. I'm just, I need to take a minute after this. I'm actually going to run it back, I think, after I stop this video and listen to it again. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.